Welcome to the Creative Brookline podcast. My name is David, and I'll be your host. This episode features an interview with Leo Sun and Claire Davis of the Q-Tip Bandits. The Brookline-based band has released several songs, toured around the world, and received high praise in their native area. Leo and Claire shared stories on the band's foundation, musical stylings, and what it's like being a group of young professionals trying to break into the music industry. So where exactly did you guys come up with this name? Like what are the crazy origins behind the Q-Tip Bandits?
Oh man. The original configuration of the band. So this is like not the original iteration, but with the previous members, I was having a conversation about band names for one of the other players' quartets. And I was just like, the Q-Tip Bandits, that's the name it should be. And we were just shooting random names, and they're like, oh, that one is good, but not for my project. And so the first show we ever played, I was just like, hi, we're the Q-Tip Bandits. We're here to play. And it just has come to mean we're here to clean your ears and steal your hearts.
It almost sounds like it just kind of came out of, you playing around with, your friends, your bandmates, and then one day it just hit, and you were like, this is us. We are the Q-Tip Bandits.
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And who are your band members?
So there's me, Claire, Macklin Tucker is the trumpet player, Dakota Maykrantz is the drummer, and Hoyt Parquet is the trombonist.
Gotcha. And y'all are around the same age? Like, did you all meet at school? Some of you went to Berklee, correct?
Yes, we all went to Berklee. Dakota and I have since left school, and everybody else is just about finished up with their degree. And we're all around the same age. And some of us started school a little bit late or have stayed longer in school. So we're all in that 20 to 24 range right now.
How has it been like working with other young professionals? Like you guys are all kind of aspiring, I assume, to go into the music industry. What has it been like working with people that are your age? Like, do you guys have conflicts? Do you guys mostly get along? Like, what has that been like? Well, first of all, were y'all friends before? Did you all kind of meet with this group?
So we all kind of joined at different times. Leo and I met during a recording session our first semester through a mutual friend who needed two players, and we kind of kept picking up bandmates as we went because we were friends with these people. It was originally just a trio of like drums, bass, guitar, and then vocals. And then we had a friend, Macklin, who played trumpet. We were like, we want to add horns to the Q-Tip Bandits. And we just kind of kept picking up people and friends that we knew played these instruments. But yeah, we've all been in school together, in certain classes together, kind of thing.
So you would say y'all have a very good rapport with each other. Y'all get along really well?
Yeah, definitely.
Has there ever been a moment you guys were kind of like, I'm not really feeling what what Leo's saying, and like Claire seems like that she's, what I'm saying, like conflict comes up with groups. Has that ever happened for you guys? Or if it does happen, do you guys like have a good way of working it out?
Totally. Like you're saying, I think it's a natural thing when there's like the collaborative element to what we're doing to have disagreements. And I think when it does happen, because of the medium we have, it's like it's easy to be like, here, let's just run the two different ideas, let's get a vote, and then just play it like that for now until further notice. Let's just get ready for whatever the next show is and let this song organically mature or organically marinate and become what it will become.
Do you do a majority of the songwriting, or does everyone kind of pitch in?
I feel like Claire and I share the songwriting responsibility. It's either been I'll bring songs to the table or she will. And then as a band, we arrange it. We pick apart different sections. We write the horn lines over it together and kind of pick apart the drum groove after we just jam it out.
So your first song that you put it out over a year ago, right? Called Willow, correct?
Yes.
Take me through that process when you were recording it, you were putting it together, and then when you finally got recognition, what did that feel like?
I wrote that song 6 years ago, 4 or 5 years before forming this band.
And then the actual recording process of it took about a year. It started as this super slow and like intimate kind of song. And then as soon as we started playing it with the band, I think we were just messing around and we started playing it like a punk indie song instead of like, a slow ballad. And then we were like, this kind of sounds good. We like it. And so the song itself started to kind of evolve and change. And at Northeastern, they have their record label, Green Line Records, and they do a free single kind of deal with like their recording team and their marketing team.
I had met Becca Peters, who is the president of this organization, a little while ago. She's the manager for one of our friends' bands. And we got together for coffee just to talk over what it's like managing a band, trying to like get to the next level. And I think the idea came up where she's just like, hey, let me get you connected with this person over at Northeastern, one of the kids on the team. Like, we'll get you in for like an interview.
We started recording the song, and the song was done being recorded. It had drums, bass, guitar, vocal. And then like a summer later, like 3 months later, something like that, we were like, we want to add horns. We ended up retracking the drums. We ended up adding 3 horns. We ended up recording the vocals again. The only thing that is the same from like the first recording of Willow is the bass and the guitar. It was a year-long recording process. And then when we were finally putting it out, the whole mixing process of it, we were doing our semester abroad in Spain, and our mix engineer was still in Boston. And so we had to do kind of like a remote 6-hour time difference. He would send us something. We would like take 2 weeks to listen to it. He would take 2 weeks to send us back a next mix. So it was a long process for that too. But you think all of that was worth it in the end? It's something Leo talks about a lot too, but like, just the energy that goes into something, I think comes out on the other end and kind of showed itself with Willow, or maybe it was just good luck.
All right, now let's hear a part of Willow.
I've been batshit deranged. Found my castle through a jungle of silly strain. But my mama, she asked me why I fly so low, so low. Your teardrops of hail impale my skin while the lightning laughs at me, at me. The jackals, they cackle into the night. They leave me wondering why I hear the whispers of the willow and all the sirens of the sea. Found shelter while outside the wind blows from all the sights I've yet to see. I hear you call my name. I hear you call my name.
So after making those changes to Willow, do you think that enhanced your sound as a group? Like, was that really the sound that you think the Q-Tip Bandits should be?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the horns really make that song. I like how all the parts play together, but the hook that I walk away from playing that song is something that the horns are doing.
Because looking at like your guys' website, you know, it seems like you try to incorporate a lot of different musical styles, right?
Yeah, definitely. A part of it that just happens naturally, just because it's like, I think with any creative person, any artist, there's that level of like what I'm going to put out there, what we're putting out there is just a culmination of everything we've ever heard and seen, but packaged in whatever is coming out at the moment when we're all together. Everybody comes from different backgrounds in this group of like what we like to listen to. But when we come together to play, it blends really nicely.
So obviously you record Willow, you put it out there. What was it like after that? Did you like say we got to go back in the studio and do more? Like, what was it right after you put out the song and you got the reaction?
It was wild. Like I said, we were in Spain when we were putting this out, and so we really didn't know how it was being received in our actual home base in Boston, just, from
Right.
like what people were saying online kind of thing. But we were getting, good feedback from our friends and from the people who were around, and we were like, listen to our song. But then when all of the streams and people who we did not know started listening to the song, and we started seeing like the numbers going up,
Right.
people listening to it, we're like, okay, we have something that
Right.
people actually like. It's not just our moms and our friends who are like, good job, you
Yeah.
guys made a song.
Right. Which is great. Which I think at the end of the day, I will just interject. At the end of the day, it's like we don't get to interact with these like thousands of people. And it's so nice just to have your friends be like, wow, that was a killer song. Like I
For
still thrive on that for sure.
But in terms of, there definitely was, I think, like a period of where we were just kind of riding the high of
Oh yeah.
of Willow, but very soon is like we got to get back into the studio and make more.
And were you touring while you were recording more material, or did you kind of take a break?
I think we were lucky in the sense that we had a lot of opportunities come up when we were in Spain and in Europe, and we were playing like a CD Baby conference in Valencia the day the song was released. And it was a nice way to like unintentionally play a show to promote this release. And we had some shows lined up for a few different countries in Europe, and we ended up playing those as sort of touring this single.
What does a lot of your songwriting kind of focus on? Like, what subject matter?
I like storytelling, like character studies. If I were to categorize it, I think it's like the writing about a fictional character that is influenced by my own experience or people that I have met along the way, but kind of put into one character that sort of represents the sort of collective experience of the people that have influenced and inspired me to write. And a lot of it focuses around a lot of coming of age, that sort of like awkwardness of who am I? So for me, I'm a person in recovery from alcohol and drugs. And so a lot of it plays into this sort of self-discovery through really redefining oneself and the perspective of that. And a lot of that kind of angsty, I don't know who I am, trying to figure it out and trying to package it all in this. Yeah, but we're all trying to figure it out, and that's okay.
Could you actually talk a little bit more about that recovery process, if you don't mind?
Yeah, for sure. Willow has actually, for me, birthed out of wanting something new from that sort of lifestyle. I had dropped out of college the first time around. I had just like tried to recreate Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with some friends in Los Angeles, and coming home after that, not really having direction and having trouble even just verbally communicating to other people, and picking up the guitar and just finding a couple chords that I thought sounded really nice. And it became Willow, but it just started as like screams to myself in my bedroom of just like, let me just make sounds. With the whole recovery process and music, for me, music has always been that thing that was like this is my life force. Before I was able to like get clean and sober up, music was the thing that was like, okay, I have a purpose. I have this thing that makes me feel good in this sea of uncertainty and really just the masking of all the underlying feelings that I was not ready to be vulnerable about. And I think that music was the driving force, and it got to a point where I wasn't able to like keep a beat or like play music. I hear in the recovery community a lot that when we're about to lose something that we can't live without is when we're going to do something to change. We're met with like a crossroads of, do I continue down this path or do I try to change myself and do the scary thing? And so I got to a point where it's like, I can't play music anymore. I can't live like this. Like I need to create. I need to make music. And I ended up in a rehab facility. And since then, just been writing and practicing and chasing after the high of playing music.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. That's really great.
For sure.
What's it been like being a young group trying to break into the music industry?
I think there's the level of like taking care of each other, whether that's like a monetary thing or like an emotional thing. One of our mentees in the music scene has recently said to us that like there's just this running joke that with the business side of music that like when artists get together to form a band, it's like they fall in love, and like you have this relationship that is so intimate that it really does feel like a relation. Like, of course it's a relationship, but it feels like an intimate relationship where it's like I at least am constantly trying to check in with like people's headspace and like where everybody's at. I think being one of the founders of the band and like putting the members together, at least from my perspective, is like I need to give them opportunities that they're going to want to play. And that's a part of like getting to where the band is going. And I think there's a lot of things that are daunting, but it's also very exciting because everybody's just got the energy to be like, yeah, let's just go on the road for a month.
Have you guys like started to build up like a decent fan base?
I think so. I'd like to say it's pretty decent. What has stuck with me from what people have said in response is that they love the music. They say these things, and then they'll say something like, "Are you guys roommates? Like, do you guys live with each other? Because it seems like you guys are so close, and when you play with each other, it really seems like you're having fun and you're connected with each other and enjoying each other's company, and that really shows through the performance."
Like, I've been playing in bands almost my whole life and performing in front of people, but being in this band was really the first time where after a show, people aren't just commenting on the music and how it sounded, but how the music made them feel. And that's been something that's really awesome as a performer, to like see people having a good time and see people singing along to the words, but then also to talk to them afterwards and being like, this song like really made me think about this or really hit me in this way, kind of thing. And that's been something that has been really awesome and impactful to me, at least.
Yeah.
I think to all of us.
What is your shows typically like? Like, what's the set list usually look like?
We've got like an hour and a half of material that we could play at this point, maybe even 2 hours.
Yeah.
But we typically do like 45-minute to an hour set lists. And we, like we said, usually try to throw in like a cover or two in there and kind of make an experience. Like, you know, it's important how you build a set list in terms of like, you can't just have slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast. You got to kind of take an audience through a ride or through a journey. And so we try to kind of build our set lists in that way.
I think when we sit down to come up with the set list before a show, it's like, how do we start off with high energy? Or like, what song do we start with to start them off on a high note? Or do we want to ease them into the more upbeat things today? And for me, lyrically, I would love to tell a story. Sometimes that doesn't work out, which is fine. But I think that there's a natural lull of like high energy, a couple slower songs, and then finish with high energy. And we like to run the set in rehearsals before just to see how that feels.
And who we play with makes a difference too. If like we're playing with two softer acoustic bands, we're not gonna break our hardest hitting stuff, and like vice versa. So we're not gonna play our softest stuff if we're playing with like a harder hitting band.
And like if we have like a acoustic group playing before us or something with a smaller arrangement, we'll like to start with some of the low energy things. If we're leading into like a band playing after us that has a like high energy set all the way through, we're gonna want to like kind of bridge the gap.
How do you hope to impact the listeners at your shows?
I think we want them to leave happy and hopeful. Our previous drummer once described our music as happy music for sad boys, which is kind of something that we still throw around today, but more in the sense of like, we want our songs to be hopeful, uplifting, but also to touch on some of that realness and acknowledging that there is hurt and like pain that's out there. But like Leo said, we're all in this together and it's all right. When you come to a Q-Tip Bandits show, that's all you have to worry about tonight. Like you can just leave all your other worries, everything else that's burdening you, like at the door. Be here with us tonight. Let it all go. Let it all out.
Right.
Dance, be yourself. And then maybe you can take some of that into the next day.
Let's talk about your mission statement right here. Where you say, you don't only want to make you sway, we want to make you swoon. What is it behind that statement that you see?
We love to see people dance and we love to see people move to the music. but we also like it when people are moved by the music. It is like the come in and enjoy the music, and like we want this to be a safe space for like 45 minutes when we're playing. That's just like, it's just you and us, it's just all of us together, and let's just touch on the things, you know, like the music is meant to be uplifting, while the lyrics are meant to speak to that truth that Claire's talking about, of like, we're happy not because we're being ignorant, or like we're choosing to not look and accept that there are hardships and painful moments in life, and that suffering is just a universal truth, but rather embracing that, and it's a part of the experience.
How would you describe this work that you're putting out? What's it titled, first of all?
It's entitled Ain't It Great. So the tracks on it are Ain't It Great, What's Your Drug, and The Wolf. And for me, I think of it as like this 12 years old character. Yeah, it is the middle school of our music. Where it's like, Ain't It Great is like the 7th and 8th grader who's like got this energy and like running around and that sort of vibe. And then What's Your Drug is more like angsty, like, oh, I just started high school, I might like dabble in some behavior that I never thought I would dabble in. And then The Wolf is more like the crushing on other people romantic thing is starting to turn into something more of like a longing and a desire. There's an innocent quality to them, I feel.
What's the most rewarding thing that you guys get out of making music?
There's like the personal, like when I'm just by myself playing, and there's, I think, what Claire has touched on a lot when it comes to interacting with other people and people who have resonated with the music. I'll say that first, like personally, like there's moments where it's like, it's whatever that zone is of like, I'm just playing. It's the only thing. I don't got to worry about anything else. I could say anything and do anything right now and it would be okay. And it's very physical for me of like, I'll sweat. I'll like start tearing up. I'll have an experience with music where it's like, wow, now I feel better, you know? When it comes to other people, and Claire was talking about when people come up to us afterward and talk to us about how the song makes them feel. I'm gonna give a shout out to my buddy Blake Thiel. He is a wonderful saxophone player, but he came up to me and shared like a lot of vulnerable things about him and like his friendship with a friend from high school that I just never would have imagined, to learn this much about somebody because they resonated so much with the song. It's so rewarding to know that we're making a difference in people's lives, even if it's on a very small scale. We recently just had a high school girl write to us from Utah, and she just wrote us all these things about like how our music inspires her to create and to like inspires her to write. And it's just so, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, it's fun. We do it because we love to do it. And I want to help people. And all of a sudden it's like, it's so rewarding to know that even if it's just like a handful of people right now that have just been like incredibly moved by what we're doing, it's remarkable to me, but it's also super rewarding.
Like in high school and in middle school, that was kind of always the goal of when you started making music, is like you wanted to be like the bands and like the artists that other people were talking about because they loved them and because their music made them feel things, and that was always kind of the goal for me. And so like in high school, for example, I was super into the band 21 Pilots, and like that was really one of the first bands that I would like listen to a song, listen to the lyrics, and I'd be like, how did they do that? And now being, 20 years old and being able to like go for a drive and put on my friends' music and my friends' bands and everything like that, and get that same kind of emotional feeling from people my age making the same music kind of thing. And also having the similar, when we get videos from our friends like listening to our song while driving, or like like sharing us on Instagram kind of thing, with them playing their song as they're like cooking dinner or something like that. It's just little moments like that where it's like you get to be a part of someone's day even though you're not there with them, and you're having kind of an impact on their mood and their day just by this thing that you created a while ago. I think that's awesome. I am super happy to be a part of this band and this project, because I think without the two of us getting together, I don't think it would be happening quite to the extent that it is.
What can we expect from the next stage of the Q-Tip Bandits? What are your fans and listeners? What could they be excited for?
Well, we are putting together our summer tour.
Which,
Hope and
if
pray.
the spirit of the universe will have it.
Things kind of uncertain at this point. But if all goes as planned, we are planning to hit the road in July and loop all the way down from the main Vermont area down to DC and then over to
Out
the
west,
Midwest
yeah.
to hit like Detroit and Chicago. And we're excited because the last time that we did a East Coast Midwest tour, we didn't have music out and we just kind of went on a limb. And this is the perks of being young in the music industry. We can just be like, oh yeah, we don't have music out, but let's go on tour.
Let's just go on. Let's just
do it.
play. Played to like 10 people every night, and it was great.
Super fun experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to hit the road this time with actual music out that people can listen to.
We'll see when fate will have it that we can get back in the studio to record. Our plans are to start recording a full-length project after tour this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So a project with like 8 to 10 tracks on it.
Get some
music out.
A few singles out before then also.
Yes. Yeah, some
Like
music videos on the way.
Ooh, yes.
Where can we expect to find you guys? Where do you put most of your music out?
We're putting music out on YouTube because we're trying to get some covers together and our Tiny Desk submission for the year out on YouTube. So we're going to have some live videos and acoustic videos going up soon. And then Spotify, Apple Music, whatever the streaming is for like our studio recordings.
Yeah.
And Ain't It Great to be on all of those.
Gotcha. And what's your YouTube channel name?
The Q-Tip Bandits.
Yeah, short and sweet.
Yes.
And then you guys have a website too, correct?
Yes.
All right, what's your website name?
TheQtipBandits.com. No underscores or hyphens. Just one word, the Q-Tip Bandits.
Good. That's very important to mention, Leo. I'm very glad you brought that up. And then if people want to get in touch with you too, is there they shoot you an email? Can they contact you through your website or through YouTube? You guys are pretty open form of communication, I assume.
If you shoot us a message on any platform, it's one of us getting back to it.
Gotcha.
Instagram direct message, YouTube comments, email. We'll get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your Instagram handle? Same thing?
Yeah, at the Q-Tip Bandits. No hyphens or spaces.
Awesome. Yeah, that's important, like you said. Well, yeah. Well, thank you guys for doing this. This is awesome. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions and you just got to answer them rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind. We've been talking for a while, so your creative juices should be flowing. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so what is your favorite song that you have recorded and why?
Oh my goodness, The Wolf.
The Wolf, yeah.
Wow, why is that?
That is, for me, it was the first song, maybe not even the one on Ain't, but I love the one on Ain't It Great. But the song itself, I played this for my dad because we recorded it in a band that I was in before the Q-Tip Bandits. I played it for him, and it was the first time he was like, wow, this is good. This could be on the radio. And I was just like, that was the turning point of our relationship of oh, are you gonna go to music school?
Insane. Wow.
Practicing, and he cared about my artistic career.
That's awesome. We love when our parents support us, don't we? It's a great time.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
What's your favorite show you've played so far?
Most recently, we played O'Brien's Pub. I think it was the last show we've played. So the most recent show, I went into it thinking that it was just going to be let's just play to a bar, play to whoever's there. And it ended up being 60 people on a Sunday night at this corner bar in Alston. And we got to play with our friends in Sappho and the Radishes and Beach Colors and just bands that we'd never played before, but our friends are members in these bands. And it was just the reception of those, even just the 20 people, 10 to 20 people in front, right by the stage was just the amount of energy there was incredible. It was
people came out wearing our T-shirts and like singing the song lyrics,
Yeah.
and it was just awesome. It was
That's right. Yeah, I forgot you guys saw merch. Yeah, you guys got merch too.
and new merch on the way.
Venmo at the Q-Tip Bandits. No spaces, no hyphens, no underscores.
We'll put that in the comments section.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a fun question. Who's the most difficult person to work with in the group?
I think it's myself. I would honestly say it's me. She agrees.
I agree.
She agrees. Honestly, it's me. I think I'm just like being like one of the main songwriters right now, and like most of the songs we're playing, we're trying to incorporate some of Claire's songs, but my songs are most of the ones we're playing right now, and having that sort of like attachment and like my ego attached to it, and like all the little things of like, oh, let's play the song. Sorry, but it's like all the attachment that I'm working on letting go in the process of working on it with other people.
Mhm.
But it becomes resistance in rehearsal, or it becomes like me being like, come on, everybody pay attention and focus, when it's like we're just having fun and that's okay. But
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to let go of that creative control, especially if the band is like, it's your product, it's your kid. It's hard sometimes. What are you guys listening to right now?
I love Darwin D's. Me personally,
Darwin
I think
Dees.
I've been getting this guy into him also.
Darwin's is a great writer.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite songwriters at the moment. He writes very like quirky,
Allegories.
playful songs with like extended metaphors. Yeah, allegories. I don't know. He thinks about the world in a way that I think is really creative and interesting, and I
Agree.
would love to capture some of that in my own songwriting. And he's super inspiring to me.
All right, and then last one here. If you had to pick 3 artists to listen to for the rest of your life, who would they be?
All right, off the top of my head, Hippocampus, Red Hot Chili Peppers, BB King.
Ooh, that's a cool mix.
I'm leaving out all of like my songwriter favorites, but I think if it was music solely to like keep me going,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mhm.
I think you need like okay, so you got like
no,
Chili Peppers has like the mix of like soft and also
the
hard.
good catalog.
I would choose Joywave for my like get you going music.
Okay. I feel so bad. So I'm sorry, Bob Dylan.
I would
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can't have everyone.
Darwin D's for me.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, I love asking that question.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Be on the lookout for more episodes in the future. This episode was hosted by David Ciaffarelli and featured Leo Sun and Claire Davis of the Q-Tip Bandits. Sound engineering and editing was done by David Ciaffarelli. Music by Electa Stein. The Creative Brookline podcast is a big production.